getting there because people in the community that have the virus are actually shedding some of it.
Because not everyone who has COVID-19 is tested or has symptoms, wastewater surveillance can capture the presence of the COVID-19 virus shed by people with and without symptoms, giving a more accurate picture of how much virus is in the community.
In truth, our misdeeds were few and far between, as the final Rockefeller Commission report revealed.
So my team found these documents. It's the additional information from the 1975 congressional hearing for the CIA.
Page 241 of the document reads, titled, Water System Test. So the General Services Administration in Fort Detrick entered into a cooperative project to investigate the vulnerability of drinking water in federal buildings to covert biological attack. Tests were actually planned and carried out in the FBI building. The second test was a simulated covert test. Neither the building occupants nor operating personnel were advised that such a test was planned. We were not challenged and apparently undetected.
So clandestine, they're poisoning their own staff members, right?
That's insane. Easy to get information in 4 categories is all the saboteur needs. Number 1, the number of fountains in the building. Number 2, the approximate total floor area and type of activity. 3, the approximate number of employees. 4, the available chlorine content of water supply at time of attack. I have talked about this nonstop, that my belief was they're targeting people through the water. You know, the CDC, you know, these federal health agencies already know the available chlorine content in the water supply to your house and to your community because they put it in there. They already have this information. They did an analysis for the available chlorine and it was positive 2 hours after the start of the test. The living coliphage organisms were killed quickly. This is why they needed to know how much chlorine is in the water before they poison you with venomous peptides from shellfish, at least in this scenario, because chlorine had a obviously inhibiting effect on those organisms. This is phenomenal.
And they've told you the grammage. Isn't this amazing?
This is amazing.
This is proving what you're talking about.
Oh, this is way more plausible than it is just theory right now. This is incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't be more proud of you and your team for even looking into this information to substantiate any of the claims that we're making that it could be possible. And if it is, we should be looking there. They're looking there. All I said was, I don't trust the CDC, what they're doing with our water. And they're using that as a predictor of outbreaks in your town of a respiratory infection. I'm about to do an interview actually with a lady named Janet Feen. She wrote a book about how pandemics can be orchestrated through water delivery systems throughout all of America with a second water line. And we're going to go through her book. She's an investigative journalist, looked into this for 15 years, has approached governments to disclose why it is they create all these secondary water line systems. This would fit right into that narrative of biological warfare being delivered through water systems.
Have you seen this before?
Not till right now.
That's pretty amazing that they've actually revealed that they were doing these water system tests.
Our government has been testing on their own personnel.
Without their knowledge.
Without their knowledge, using toxins from the venoms of sea creatures.
Hydroxychloroquine.
Hydroxychloroquine.
It's a derivative of chlorine.
Yes, it is. Chlorine dioxide, I don't know if you saw the interview with Mike Adams, but this guy got it on there, his name's Bob the Plumber. He has documents that show chlorine dioxide is inhibitory and destroys every aspect of king cobra venom, even in water.
But there is chlorine in the water, so then how would this work? It's just the right amount.
What if the whole water treatment thing with the CDC right now, looking for SARS-CoV-2 in your poop water, what if they're actually controlling how much chlorine is going into your town, reducing it, putting in the toxins to create SARS-CoV-2 outbreaks in your town using venomous peptides like they were doing in the 70s in federal buildings through water delivery systems? And then what if they're actually testing to see if they increase the chlorine now after creating the outbreak, they can actually monitor the chlorine input into your water and how much less SARS-CoV-2 organisms are coming out of that community. And they're just managing the outbreak, creating the outbreak, and controlling the subsiding of that outbreak with simple chlorine in the water. They've already been managing chlorine input and output in your drinking water.
going back to your point about how it would be done, is that once you've got venom in circulation, venom would be able to be transported the same way as a spitting cobra uses it in a salivary bubble, and it would be spat out, right? It could also just free float in the air because it's charged. So, the basic science of Brownian motion is that particles that are charged stay up in the air. You could absolutely add this to the water if somebody chose to do it. The difference maybe between the way Dr. Ardis and I were thinking through this is that I do believe that the initial attacks included a viral vector, SARS-CoV-1, which was a bat coronavirus with the spike protein, the new developed spike protein attached to SARS-CoV-1, and now it gets called SARS-CoV-2 with an adapted gain-of-function spike protein. And then your venom then replicates. So the machinery to get this out into the air, into the water, into the food, onto someone's hands, onto someone's clothing, it's the human body that's the manufacturer of that venom.
Here's how it works. This is the virus. These are called spike proteins. Scientists have isolated the genetic code for those proteins, a set of instructions that are put into the vaccine so your body knows how to make them. Your immune system won't make an actual virus particle, but it will make copies of the angry red spike protein.
Then you don't need the virus anymore, because then you start vaccinating people and you're putting the venom, and then they're telling the public that they're going to be making the spike proteins. So if you understand then that the spike proteins have venom on it, then what they've told the public is that for a certain amount of time, if you get an mRNA vaccine, for example, that your body is going to be producing the spike proteins, and therefore your human body is making venom that you're shedding to the rest of the world.